Hello and welcome back to another episode of Spill the Tea with CC, where we get insider insights from alumni who've walked the talk. In this very exciting episode, we will learn all about the University of St. Andrews in Scotland. It's one of the oldest of the four ancient universities in Scotland, and after Oxford and Cambridge is the third oldest university in the English-speaking world. If you're thinking about applying to the University of St. Andrews, you might be wondering whether this school would be a good fit for you. But before we get into it, don't forget to hit subscribe to watch us spill more tea on all the top colleges around the world. I'm beyond excited to introduce our special guest for the episode, Sakshi. Welcome, Sakshi. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Chandra. I'm happy to be here.
Why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Sakshi Singhania. I originally hail from Calcutta. I work as a consulting manager at Athena, and I went to St. Andrews to pursue psychology and management. Graduated in 2015, and yes, very happy to discuss my insights today.
We're happy to have you. So let's start with your academic journey at St. Andrews. What was that experience like, and how does the university approach the academic curriculum in general?
In terms of academics, I would say St. Andrews is a little distinctive, especially when you hear people talk about how UK curriculums can be a little more rigid. St. Andrews actually gives you that perfect balance, I would say, and a little more flexibility to explore different kind of courses. Also, it's more hands-on, so it's not just academic. It's also hands-on when it comes to case studies, research papers, group collaboration projects, dissertations, of course. In fact, I think I got to understand the importance of self-study when I actually went to St. Andrews.
Wow.
So they don't really do a lot of spoon feeding, and they just leave you out to explore and learn new things on your own. Yeah. So I think that makes the experience quite insightful as well as enriching. Also, there is a great library where you see a lot of students working day and nights, and even if say they're working on different courseworks, they collaborate to exchange ideas.
So actually, I'm curious, when you applied to St. Andrews, did you already know you wanted to study psychology and management both, or is that something that you experimented with and arrived at later?
So actually, I always wanted to study psychology and management, and this was one of the only universities that was offering that as a major, like a double major option was there. But then apart from psychology and management, what I got to do was also explore a lot of unique other modules. So in my first 2 years, I took a module on sustainable development, philosophy, anthropology, research design, right? So anything that I wanted to actually try out and that I was interested in, I could explore there in my first 2 years before, of course, taking more, specific modules and going deeper into my majors.
Understood. Interesting. So it seems like the curriculum in that university really supported your intellectual transformation and exploration, and gave you a good amount of freedom and flexibility in that area. I am curious, in what other ways did you feel like the University of St. Andrews was a good fit for you?
I think what really worked for me at St. Andrews personally was the unique campus life, and growing up, I think that is what actually drove me to also apply abroad, because I feel like while watching movies or like even being exposed to pop culture, you hear about these beautiful campuses where people from across the world get to spend time together, and St. Andrews has a really close-knit community in that sense and extremely diverse.
That's great. So I want to expand more a little bit on that, the student body, right? What did that look like, and how did the diversity of the different demographics on campus contribute to your experience there?
So I think St. Andrews is one of those universities that is extremely culturally diverse, and I feel like they do inherently promote that sort of environment. I'm not sure about this, but I feel like I was very strategically placed in an accommodation hall and in a corridor with a combination of people from different parts of the world in my first year. So, for example, there were 12 rooms, and we shared a common space and a common kitchen. And there were people from Nigeria, there was someone from Vietnam, there were obviously students from Scotland and England. But just kind of engaging in those interesting conversations in the kitchen and getting to know each other and about each other's diverse cultures and customs, I think that was very insightful. And I've seen that happening with not just me, but with my other friends in different halls. So St. Andrews does that, and also I think 1/3 of the population student body was international.
Wow.
Also, a lot of students come in from the US. So that is also quite unique to find in a UK specific university.
Yes. So building off of the campus life a little bit more, I'm curious to learn more about the community feeling and the sort of bubble that St. Andrews exists in. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that environment was like for you?
So, as I said, St. Andrews, it has a very strong sense of community, and it's a college town with essentially 3 streets, right? There is the North Street, South Street, and the Market Street, where you'll see all your cafes and restaurants, and also majority of the teaching halls and courts are found there. The library is there, so you can't really walk down the streets without maybe meeting friends or acquaintances, and you constantly find yourself bumping into each other. So that helps, to kind of keep you rooted in that whole sense of the community. Also, very fondly, St. Andrews is known as the bubble. It's like absolutely point on when it comes to, finding a suitable acronym for the university. And the reason for that is that when you enter the campus, it's almost like you're entering another world. And this world is of your own and of your fellow colleagues and students. It has these ancient buildings with historical architecture, arts, courts, ruins of a castle, museum, right? So, and you're taking classes sitting in these halls that they are from historical times. So that in itself is extremely unique. Yeah, so it's quite different to anything that maybe you would experience, if you step out of that particular place. So you might be disconnected from the entire world, so to speak, but you have your own bubble to thrive in.
Okay, I see. So it's almost as though living in St. Andrews, the name of the town is St. Andrews, right? That you are kind of stepping back in time. You're traveling to a different era where there were kings and queens and royalty, and you actually get to study all of this cutting edge modern innovation and new ideas and push the boundaries and be pioneers of your field, and at the same time, like, you're in this really ancient backdrop. It's super
Absolutely.
interesting.
In fact, even the numerous balls that we would attend, right? So it wasn't just the usual club nights, but everything was turned into a ball. If you're a St. Andrews student, you'll find at least a few ball gowns in your cupboard by the end of your 4th year, and I think that's saying quite a bit because you don't get to do that anywhere.
Can you talk a little bit about the campus traditions that students engage in to continue to build that feeling of camaraderie?
Yeah, I think that's the best part about St. Andrews. It has so many unique traditions, but I'll just maybe talk about a few of my favorites. So definitely one of them would be the academic families, where 3rd year seniors, they adopt 1st years as their kids. And when you go into the 3rd year, obviously you end up also adopting your own academic families. And so essentially you have a family which consists of your mom, dad, plus even aunts and uncles and sisters and brothers. So it's like almost like a small bubble within the bigger one. So what exactly happens there is that your academic parents, they involve you in a range of games throughout the day, and in the next morning they dress you up in these fancy looking outfits and costumes that they make themselves, and they take you to the main court where all other 1st years assemble, and there is a massive foam fight. And then, you're drenched in foam and taken back by your parents to your respective houses. So I think that was one of the most fun memories that I have. So another really interesting tradition at St. Andrews is the beer walk. And I think everyone who's interested in St. Andrews or must have looked it up would have seen this picture of students dressed in red cloaks walking this pier with torches in their hands. Even though that looks out of a movie, it is pretty much the reality there. What people don't know though, that it also has a very meaningful story behind it. And there was a student at St. Andrews, I think it was around the 1800s, and he had rescued people, 5 men, from a shipwreck that had happened just across that pier. And till date, just to celebrate that, and at the location where the shipwreck had taken place, they wear those cloaks and they do the torchlight procession. So I think that's pretty unique. Another thing I'd like to mention here is the May Day. I think talking about St. Andrew's experience without the May Day would be absolutely incomplete. On May Day, which is considered as the hottest day, of course, in the world, if you go and dip in the North Sea, you will get rid of all the sins that you've committed while at university. So you'll see on May Day hundreds of students going mindlessly and just dipping themselves in the North Sea, and it is extremely cold. So they come out numb, red, and but we just huddle together and try to celebrate that we could achieve that. So yeah, there are just so many traditions like these, and they just make our experience they made my experience worthwhile.
Interesting. Yeah, super unique, not at all culty, but yeah, very cool. So as we draw to a close for the episode, if any students who are watching this have realized they really love St. Andrews and they would love to get in, what is one piece of advice you would give them about how to demonstrate their fit at the university and really optimize their chances of admission?
Yes, I think one thing that I'd like to point out is that the university very evidently promotes a diverse culture, not just in terms of having international students on board, but also people who are interested in different kind of subjects, fields. So just to show that, I think so if you're coming from another country, for sure holding on to your cultural identity, and also a longing to know about other cultures, and your passion for exploring different fields or subjects, and also collaborative community engagement. I think that is something that St. Andrews is all about. So having that highlighted in your applications will help.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sakshi, for joining us. This was super interesting, extremely insightful. I want to go and visit the campus now. And that's all. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and leave in the comment section below which campus tradition was most interesting to you. That's all, signing off as your friendly neighborhood college counselor. And as we draw to a close, as always, we're going to leave you with a fun tip from our guest.
Take more chances.